Deepika ma'am was hoping that people who are not good public speakers still come up on stage to share good ideas. I am one of them. I'm really nervous. But I'm here because we should not allow our fears silence our voices. Um, Growing up, since when I was in school, our teacher used to section out a part of our rough notebooks and call it as the good deeds section. So we had to spend the whole day doing good deeds and write about them in that book. Every morning, we would go and show the book to the teacher, and she would give us stars. And between us, we used to fiercely fight for those stars. And sometimes we even got really creative in doing good deeds. But after after a little while, it was not about stars for me because I had understood the joy of doing good deeds. Hi. and these days, when I was growing up, my parents used to tell us that we have to keep a part of our salaries aside as and use it for doing good deeds. These days, it's called CSR, CAS, SEVA, uh, community initiatives, student-led organization initiatives, charity shows. See, whether it was for stars, whether it was passion, whether it's a duty, or whether it is for a portfolio, the idea of doing good deeds, the idea of doing something good for somebody has always been and is always a part of our upbringing. Hi, my name is Jana, and I am I am the co-founder of a non-profit organization. For 15 years, I have been working with children attending government schools. And in these 15 years, I've had the honor of understanding different perspectives and different dimensions of social work from both sides of the table. I believe from my experience that the motivation to do good deeds comes from the idea that we are all privileged. This idea pushes us into action. It makes us seek somebody out or provide aid for whom we think are underprivileged. Hold on to that thought, everybody. I'm going to tell you a small story. In 2015, the camera company, Canon conducted a social experiment. They invited 6 professional photographers to come into their studio and take a portrait of 6 personas. There was a millionaire, ex-inmate, there was a person who saved somebody's life, there was a fisherman who was doing commercial fishing, there was a psychic, and all of those things. So these photographers, when they came into the studio, they spoke to the person, their subject. They set their angles and lighting, and they took their portraits. These portraits were then printed out and kept in a room. Only when these photographers came into the room did they all realize that all of them had taken the photograph of the same person. And yet, all the 6 portraits were vastly different. So, Canon had proved through this experiment that a photograph is more about the person who is standing behind than what's in front of it. If we take this learning and apply it in a government school scenario, how would it be if we walk into the school or we walk into a classroom thinking that we are? What is the effect that we create when we just think that the other person is underprivileged? This is something that we all have to think about, right? In the Canon experiment, the person, the subject, was an actor. He knew who he was. He was able to listen to instructions and follow whatever they're saying. But in a school scenario, these are children that we are talking about. These children derive their sense of identity, their worldview, and their place in the society based off of how the adults or the authority figures in their lives them. If I put myself in a position of authority, what I think about you is what you're going to perceive about yourself. And this is true for adults. For children, these labels become their identity. Let me show you a picture here. This is a picture of the children interacting with each other. One of these children is presenting a small business idea using a business model template. Another child here in this picture is thinking that this is such a good idea and is desperately hoping for a partnership to happen. Can you guys guess which is which here? I think it's easy for you to guess now because of all the talks that we are having. The child in the government school is the one who is coming up with an idea, and the student volunteer is the one who is thinking that this is such a nice idea, and he's really hoping that this takes off and he becomes a partner in this. Guys, I want to impress upon you, can you see what happens if we break unnecessary labels? Can you see the magic? Can you see the possibilities of what can happen if we interact like this as equals? So let's have a small poll right now, a show of hands. Put up your hand, please, if you have been a part now or before of any kind of charitable activity. Anybody interested in any, associated in any way? So for today's talk, thank you. For today's talk, I am not so bothered or concerned about the kind of activity that you're associated with. What I want to be more concerned about is that today, 100% of us, as this scientifically accurate poll showed, 100% of us is in some way or the other associated with some kind of charitable work. We today, according to the World Giving Index, we are part of the 35% of India who is participating in acts of good deed, which means that 1/3 of India is trying to look out for 2/3 of India. And if we are going to go on to think that a major chunk of our population is underprivileged, and if we go on to think that the only way to support them or empower them is by providing aid, then we are all missing out on immense opportunities of growing together. So, what I want to impress, ladies and gentlemen, is that all of us have to realize that none of us have got it all going for us. We have to realize that constantly we are always receiving and getting help and support all the time, no matter who we are. And we have to understand, we have to realize that the help that we get is empowering us, it's helping us reach our goals. We should also be very mindful of the help we give and make sure that the help that we give is not debilitating to somebody. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to desperately shift our focus from giving to collaborating. We have to shift from charity to empowering. Thank you. Thank you.